Tonight, she will be telling a story about art, intuition, and the magic of community. Please put your hands together for Kate McManus.
It's 2010, and I'm a free-spirited 25-year-old living in Los Angeles. With a cigarette in one hand and an iPod shuffle in the other, I'm walking around Hollywood when I get an idea. An idea for how I could become a professional tarot card reader. See, at that time, in my neighborhood alone, there were a ton of little psychic shops, storefronts with neon lights in the window that say psychic readings, and all of them had signs for $10 palm readings. So I figure if I allot, say, $100, that's 10 palm readings. I could start in East Hollywood with the psychic nearest to me, make my way west, and surely by the 10th palm reading I will have found a psychic I connected with, at which point I could express my desire to apprentice them. Once I got my foot in the door, I could start giving tarot readings out of their shop. I thought it was a great idea, and I was excited to tell my roommate Chuck, because Chuck always had really good ideas too. So later that night, we're in our apartment, and I'm painting a picture of a sad clown. And above the clown, I write the name of Chuck and I's mutual friend, Turbo. And then I write Turbo's cell phone number, because at that time I thought that writing Turbo's cell phone number everywhere was a hilarious thing to do. And I have a recreation of that painting, just to give you a visual. So beep, beep was, it'd be an inside joke or just something that Turbo liked to say. And then I guess I had $10 on the brain. So Chuck looks at the painting and says, and asks if I was planning to sell it to Turbo for $10. And I'm like, no, I didn't have any plans really. And I can see Chuck's wheels turning. You should have an art show, he says, where every piece is custom made for a specific friend. And you could price it according to the quality of the piece and also according to that friend's financial situation. And I laughed. I thought, maybe that's a little tacky. People might not appreciate feeling pressured into buying art they never asked for. But Chuck assured me, no, it wouldn't be like that. It'd be funny. Everyone who's invited would know ahead of time that a custom piece of art awaits them. And you could say they're strongly encouraged to buy it, like if they're really your friends, but it'd be tongue-in-cheek, it'd be jokey, it'd be fun. We could have the art show here. I told Chuck I'd think about it. And then I told him, interestingly enough, I also had a brilliant idea that day. Cut to a few weeks later, I'm knee-deep in preparation for my upcoming art show. Chuck and I have started calling our apartment the Harold Way Gallery, because Harold Way is the name of the street that we live on. Flyers have been made, invitations have been sent, the art show plan is in motion. The psychic tarot plan, however, has not moved forward. In fact, I've all but forgotten I ever even had the idea. So much so that when a woman outside of a food for less stops me and asks me if she can read my palm, it doesn't even register. She tells me that there's something she thinks I should know. I tell her no thank you and keep walking. Okay, she says, but you should come into my shop. I have a shop on San Vicente and Sunset. Now that makes me stop. I remember my idea. Tracy has electric blue hair. And she's only asking $5 for a palm reading instead of the usual 10. And so I let her read my palm. And even though it's very generic, does not resonate with me at all, I decide to tell her my plan about wanting to apprentice a psychic. And would you believe it, Tracy is on board. She says that after 3 or 4 weeks of training, free of charge, presuming I'm ready, I could start giving tarot readings out of her shop on San Vicente and Sunset. And she's ready to get started, like, immediately. So I invite her over for step 1, the candle activation. And I should mention, Tracy has a man friend with her named Angelo. I don't know if it's her boyfriend or a relative, possibly a court-appointed situation. I don't ask. He's just sort of there in a way that makes you feel safe and unsafe. And so Angelo stays outside smoking cigarettes. Tracy comes in and we do the candle activation, which involves lighting a candle, and she does sort of a Reiki-like assessment of my chakras. She says she senses some imbalances in my heart chakra, and I'm like, oh, totally, that makes sense. Chuck is glaring at me from the kitchen, very disapproving of my new friends that I've brought over. And before Tracy leaves, she tells me that we'll be communicating every day, and I'll need to tell her everything I'm thinking and feeling, especially my dreams. She says dreams are very important, and I need to get a dream journal and start recording as soon as I woke up anything I can remember from my dreams. I tell her I already do that, and I thank her profusely, tell her how excited I am to be working with her, and of course, I invite her to my art show. And as soon as she leaves, I get started on her portrait. And I'm not expecting her to buy it. Of course, I'm going to gift it to her in the hopes that she'll be hanging it in her shop, where I'll soon be giving tarot readings on San Vicente and Sunset. And so the next 2 days, Tracy and I talk on the phone as discussed, and she uses a dream interview technique where she pretends to be an alien and asks what things are. So if I'm like, I was in a car, she's like, what is a car? And I'm like, mode of transportation. What is transportation? Something that gets you from one place to another. Interesting. It was a very effective technique. She gives me practice readings to do and offers feedback and insights. It's exactly the kind of training I'm hoping for. On the third day, I wake up from a very vivid dream. And in my dream, I'm with my mother and my sister, and the three of us are studying a pair of underwear stained with menstrual blood. Sorry to be gross. That was my dream. And my mom, who would never in real life say this, says, she might be real, she might be fake, and she might just be checking shit out. And it's unmistakable what she says. I write it down. And that day, I'm working as an extra on a show called Surviving Disaster. And I've been holding when Tracy calls. And I really don't want to tell her my dream. Not only is it kind of embarrassing, but I feel it's very on the nose. Like, she might be real, she might be fake. Is there a mysterious woman in my life whose authenticity I might be questioning? But because I have such a high level of integrity as a psychic's apprentice, because I so respect the process, I tell her. And Tracy says, oh, that's very bad. We need to do a numerology reading right away. Okay. She asks for my birthday. She asks for my time of birth. She asks for my social security number. Now, contrary to what this story may have led you to believe so far, I'm not a total idiot. I say nothing. What's the matter, girl? I'm sensing a drop in your vibration. And before I can answer, Tracy hangs up. So I'm like, what? I don't even know what to think. Was Tracy a fraud? Was this her plan all along? Does she really have a shop on San Vicente and Sunset? Was there even a shop on San Vicente and Sunset? I never usually went that far west. I didn't know. I was disappointed for sure, but to be honest, I was a little relieved. My art show was in less than 2 weeks, and I needed to focus. So that night, I finished Tracy's portrait, and to gain closure and process, I write out her story, incorporated into the painting. It says, I met Tracy outside of Food for Less. She said she was a psychic and her shop was on San Vicente and Sunset. I was going to be her apprentice. It was awesome, but then she wanted my social security number for a numerology. I tell Chuck, who is helping me to price the art, that this piece won't be for sale unless someone wants to buy it, in which case $40 or best offer. And I also mentioned that she may still come. Maybe this was all a misunderstanding. Maybe she didn't have malicious intent. She just did unconventional numerology readings. But why would she hang up suddenly, Chuck asked. Maybe Angelo accidentally hit end call with his ankle monitor? I don't know. But Tracy doesn't come, and the art show is a success. My friends were extremely supportive, and it remains one of my most cherished memories from the time I lived in LA. And even though I lived there for another year and a half, I kept forgetting to go to San Vicente and Sunset and see if there was even a shop that was there. I think there was. I'm pretty sure Chuck kept the Tracy painting for a while at least. I gave him my blessing, of course, to repurpose as needed. And as for the real Tracy, I hope that wherever she is, she's okay. And I hope that Angelo is with her. Unless it was an unhealthy situation for either or both of them, in which case I hope he's not. Thank you.